Okay.
Hello everyone, we are back with the second session for learning professional discussion between SKPP61 and Te Kura or Matarangi Northcote School. Before we proceed with the learning discussion, let us hear a few words from our headmistress of SKPP61, Puan Zahara binti Hashim.
Thank you, Teacher Azim. Good morning and selamat pagi, everyone. My name is Zahara binti Hashim, headmistress of SK Putrajaya Precinct 61 School. I want to thank the teachers from Te Kura or Matarangi Northcote School for collaborating with us for this hybrid sharing session. This creates a great opportunity for our students to be exposed with other cultures. I hope that the cooperation between these two schools will continue in the future. Let this be a start for a more meaningful learning process for the students. Thank you and terima kasih.
Thank you, Puan Zahara. So without further ado, let us go back to the Google Meet session. Thank you.
So, okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. I'm Tina from SK Putrajaya Precinct 61. I am the head panel of this school since 2022. Today I'm going to talk and share about HIP program that we have already launched since early of August, which is so-called highly immersive program. For this program, we had planned a few programs for our pupils to participate in, such as our collaboration with New Zealanders on our hybrid lessons. And we also have PBL programs for our pupils to participate and show how creative they are. And we also had a lot of other in-class activities such as making robots, crafts, jeans craft according to the topicals that our pupils had in their textbook. So we encourage them to do and be more creative from what they have learned in the classroom. Okay, with that, I would pass on to our coordinator of HEP to proceed with the next information. Please welcome Ms. Kastrina.
Hello everyone, my name is Ms. Kastrina. I am a coordinator for High Immersive Program for SK Putrajaya Precinct 61. And for this year, we have done a lot of activities with the students, in class, out of class, outreach program, and a lot more. And for today's session, for this outreach program, we have collaborated with a school from New Zealand, which is Te Kura or Matarangi Northcote School. And I have discussed with the teacher there, which is Miss Esther, regarding what are the topics that our students and their students will be sharing. And the topic was traditional games. For our part, we did Batu Seramban and we did Tujuh Pasir. And all of the students did a very good job. You can even see it in the YouTube live. I really hope you enjoy the session. For right now, at approximately 11:15, it will be a sharing session between the teachers from that school and our school. That's all from me. Thank you. One of the outreach program that we did was with a school from Taiwan, and a teacher from the school actually came to Malaysia for a holiday. And while she is having a holiday here, she took the time to enter to she took the time to visit SK Putrajaya Precinct 61. And this visit was accompanied by Miss Sophia, and she was very kind enough to give a tour around the school. So I really hope that Miss Susie will visit us again. And for this one, this is what we are discussing today. It was about HIP Outreach Local Traditional Games. And this sharing session was done with 5 Crystal. They took the time to record the videos, and they even gave a thorough explanation about the traditional games, which were Batu Seremban and Tujuh Kasut. And as you can see here, on HIP SKPP161 Facebook, we have a lot of activities diversing from in class, out of class, outreach, and many more. And some even are project-based learning that were done by the students. For example, this one. This is a video of all the posters that were done by Year 6 students, and it was about wildlife animals. And here we have the students from Year 5 presenting their wildlife posters. And also we have HIP in class, draw and tell. And this is from the Year 2 unit, part 2, parts of the house. So students had to draw what is inside their house, and they had to present it in front of the class. And those who didn't have the time to present in the class, they can even present from home. And we have a lot of videos to share with you. One of it is the HIP outreach that we had done with Sin Ying Elementary School from Taiwan. And this is their video of them showing us that they have received our handwritten letters. This one is about students, the Taiwanese students. They did a presentation of Malaysia gourmet food. They even wrote about what are the popular food and drinks here. They even drew a map of Malaysia and a map of Taiwan. So this is an activity done by their teacher, Miss Susie. Okay, and then the last one would be, okay, that is with the international schools. For inside Malaysia, we had an outreach program with several schools. One of them are SKPP SK Putrajaya Precinct 41, and also SK Megong from Kedah. And this collaboration, our students had to write postcards to the students there. And this is a picture of our postcards being received by SKPP 141 students. And these are SK Mergong students receiving our postcards. So that is all from us. Thank you.
excited that one of the game Batu Seremban. It's one of was it Uncle Bone?
We would call it knuckle bones.
Yes, we presented two, Batu Seremban and also Tujuh Kasut.
Yeah, and that Batu Seremban is quite similar to a game that we play here, or the New Zealand people, Kiwis played, which is a knuckle bone. So yeah.
Yes, I heard about the knuckle bone.
But just that we were saying that because we index and things is quite soft. In knuckles, what you do to play, it's hard, just like your knuckles.
Yes. So just now, our students were asking a lot of questions about the traditional games that were presented by your students. And it was a very, very, very fruitful discussion just now. Thank you so much. And today, behind I have my headmistress. This is my headmistress for this school, and we have a few other teachers joining as well. This is my head of panel. Selamat sejahtera.
Nice of you. You can communicate in Bahasa Melayu. That's good.
And we have a few more there as well. I cannot move this laptop. Okay, here you go.
Hi.
These two, they are English teachers, including myself, and also teacher Ezrin, which is right here. Yeah, so we are English teachers here in Sekolah Kebangsaan Putrajaya Precinct 61 Primary School. And we have a speech from our headmistress.
Good morning. Selamat pagi, everyone. My name is Zahra binti Hashim, headmistress of SK Putrajaya Precinct 61. I want to thank the teachers from Te Kura or Matarangi Northcote School for collaborating with us for this hybrid sharing session. This creates a great opportunity for our students to be exposed with other cultures. Two schools will continue in the future. Let this be a start for a more meaningful learning process for the students. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Pak Zahra. Thank you so much for that. So my principal here, Kira.
My
It's Mr. Justin Piriam, and he was also in Brunei for a few years. So it's nice to have Mr. Piriam with us here today. I'll just get him to briefly introduce our school before we move on to any questions.
Selamat pagi, kia ora koutou. My name is Justin Piriam. I was a teacher at the British Army School in Brunei for 3 years. Have been to Kuala Lumpur many times. My children loved Kidzania. We very much enjoyed our time in Kuala Lumpur. Our school is a school of 152 students. So we are a small school by New Zealand standards. Most primary schools in New Zealand would be between 300 and 600 children. So ours is quite small. We have quite a wide of Māori native children as well as European, from South Africa, Australian. Our children come from all over the world. All that is in a social area from families where there isn't a lot. um, we have a with opportunity to be able to learn. We're also very excited to have the opportunity to collaborate overseas, and I know from talking to Madam Co that the students thoroughly and very much enjoyed the interaction today, and we're excited to talk about it afterwards as well. Thank you very much, and we look forward to our discussion.
Okay, thanks, for the introduction. We had a bit of a trouble in hearing because of the internet connection here. Can you please give us at least 2 minutes
To change
Yeah,
our
to change our connection?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sorry. Connected to a new, you can hear us clearly. Is it better? Is it
Yep,
better?
looks much better as well. Yep, so I hope it will be clearer for you as well.
Ah, yes. Oh, just now, Mr. Periam, you mentioned that you have been to Malaysia before?
Yes, yes.
part of Malaysia.
When we went to Johor Bahru to see Legoland, my girls went to Legoland, and then we went to Kuala Lumpur as well. So
Since you have been here, later you can come to Putrajaya and visit our
yes,
school as well.
we would love to do that.
Yes, okay. Please tell us so we can welcome you with welcome arms.
Amazing.
For today, we have a few questions that we would like to know from both of you regarding curriculum there. And the first question is about the first question is about how do your teachers conduct project-based learning with the students there?
We haven't really done project-based learning as in the whole project and doing that. But what our curriculum is quite integrated and holistic. So the teachers in New Zealand, we are with our class the whole time from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, which means I'm a generic teacher. I teach everything from English, from maths, from science, social sciences, PE, physical education, and things like that. So what I do is we use our inquiry topics to then facilitate our reading and our writing based on it. So for an example, when we were doing the collaboration, our students were focused on traditional games as a research. So they were looking into what's the Maori culture here in New Zealand, what would the games be? Their reading was on that, and their writing was also based on that. And for a lot of then like games like they so we do things like statistics. What are the games that we usually play during break time? Is multi where we choose a topic that we will be working on, and then we try to link everything else. The main two subjects that we usually teach would be literacy, which is English, reading, writing, spelling, phonics, and then maths. So the numeracy, counting, knowing numbers and patterns. And the other subjects will flow into it, and we'll do it from time to time. So for health and education, we have it every week. But for other subjects like science, music, arts, technology, Sometimes we do it from term to term. So we could do it in that first 3 months of the year. We'll do science. We'll have inquiry based on a science topic. The next term, we could do more of technology, and we'll explore certain things like what we did recently was a time capsule. And so we were looking at how we could make a time capsule. What does a time capsule mean? What's the past? What's the future? What are changes? So we go on it based on topics that we look at and integrate everything else. So it's not really a project-based learning yet in that sense, but
I think in New Zealand there is a real push for schools to develop curriculum. So we have a national curriculum that gives us the basis of the content we need to teach, but then schools are expected to develop a local curriculum that reflects the community we live in. For example, the community you live in would be far different to the community of a village in Sarawak. So that they would have a curriculum that would reflect their environment and their community rather than everyone doing the same. So as a school, because we have 45% of our role are Māori children, our local curriculum has a big focus around all things Māori, whether it be the games, tikanga, which is traditions and rituals, pūrākau for telling stories from the past. So we have shaped their local curriculum to reflect what the needs of our children are. So that's sort of how we have the ability to actually create a program which is more relevant to our students.
so if you ask different schools in New Zealand, like in Christchurch, we are based more on Tahu. So the local tribe, Maori tribe here, will do all our songs, the pronunciation of the Maori words. When we think about places of interest, we'll look into Christchurch first and how people relate to that. But if you talk to a school maybe in Auckland or in Wellington, their curriculum will be a little bit different. Because in New Zealand, we have the New Zealand curriculum, but the schools are very flexible in deciding what they teach, the context of how they teach it. So what we want to teach for English, it will be how to read and write, how to read a text and enjoy it, how to make inferences. But the context of it, the schools actually have the responsibility to then develop it to make sure that the students that we're talking to, they can relate to it. The society that we have around us knows how it is. Yeah.
Oh.
Answer.
It's good. At least we learn to know about the New Zealand curriculum. But unlike here in Malaysia, we have a slight different where we have different teachers for different classes or subjects. For example, as we are teaching only English alone. But there are other teachers who are going to be teaching physical education. They will be teaching maths, different teachers. And the classes also, it depends. Sometimes the teacher will be transitioning into the classroom. Or sometimes if the pupils needs to go to the lab for science subjects, then they have to move to the lab. And we also have a few rooms like music rooms. We have Chinese rooms. So these pupils, they have to move about if they need to go to these kind of classes. And unlike New Zealand too, we have a big number of pupils in a class. And
Big number of teachers as well.
So we have like 76 teachers and 1,233 pupils altogether in this particular school. So it's a big number for us to cater with, but still we managed to cope with everything that we have already assigned with. Okay, so we also integrated, apart from our topics in the textbook as well, we do integrated our project-based learning and also the highly immersive just all knowledge they can cope And for example, our project-based learning, year 6, primary 6 pupils, they have to learn about how things are made. For example, the topic how things are made, they teach the pupils how so to integrate with this, we come up with a project-based learning where pupils have to learn how to come up with their crafts, their own craft. They can come up with bags, purse, scrunchies out of the genes that they have learned already. So from there, we teach our pupils to communicate with visitors who came to our school just for a visit, a benchmarking visit, for example. And we have an exhibition on all the crafts that our pupils have produced. And at the same time, the pupils will learn how to communicate with the visitors. We are trying to sell products to the visitors. And finally, they managed to sell some of the crafts. That was one of the beauty of our local curriculum in Malaysia. That's what we love to share with you.
And then, as you can see from the screen, we have this was conducted last year, and it was a tie-dye program where we had students from year 4, 5, and 6, ranging from year 10 years old, 11 years old, and 12 years old, and they did this tie-dye activity where they had to bring their own white shirt from home, and the dye is prepared was prepared by the teachers here, and we gathered all the students and we gave the instructions for them to do one by one with us. And after they were done dyeing their own shirts, they will hang it up for the shirts to dry, and later on they will take it back home and they can wear it. And I don't think they have sold it. I hope not. I hope it is for the memories. And then the third one, I will let the teacher herself explain.
Okay, right. As you can see here, this is another project-based learning that I did with a year 6 student this year. So it's a topic about emergency situation. Basically, for this topic, they have to plan during emergency situation, the robot that can help people during emergency situation. So they were divided into groups. They have to think about the features of the robot that they want to do. And then these are some of the products during English class. And after they have finished the process of drafting and then creating the robot, the final version of the robot, then we did have a cross project with technology design subject where they create the robot into a 3D form. So we don't have one teacher teaching one subject, but we did have a joint project with other subjects. Okay, so these are the projects that the English panel have done. Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty of having specialists in different subjects, because then you have more specialized skills to be able to do a lot of things. What we do is because from a year 1 to year 6, our students go off to what we call intermediate, year 7 and year 8. That's when they will have the technology, things like that. And they do a lot of the projects that you have now during intermediate with the teachers there. Yeah. So what we do from year 1 to year 6 is usually just to prepare we also start quite early here in New Zealand. Year 0 start school when they turn 5 years old. When their birthday is 5. So throughout the year, it's not just a cohort intake at the start of the year. If your birthday is on 15th of March, you come in on 15th of March. If your birthday is in November, you come in November. So that's a little bit different when it comes to transition from starting school and coming in. And we do start them a little bit earlier. Yeah, which means our year 5 at today, 9, 10, and 11-year-olds. So I do have 9-year-olds in my year 5 and 6 class, which would probably be your year 3 with 9-year-olds. Yeah, so it's a little bit different in terms of age-wise, but what you're doing with the senior classes would probably be what we will do in the intermediate years, year 7 and year 8.
It's also very common in New Zealand for a teacher to be teaching children of multiple year levels. So maybe there's year 6 children in the same class. So that is quite common here. I know in some countries you don't have mixed year levels though.
Yeah, it's very true indeed. And another question that I'm quite curious about, how do your school, specifically your teachers, handle remedial students? For example, students that cannot read or have difficulty in speaking. How do you handle it?
We do a lot of group-based learning. So even in my class of a year 5 and year 6, I do have people who are still learning the alphabet sounds, even in a year 5 and year 6. But what I do is for reading and writing, we work on their phonics and we do the basic with them to build on that blending of sounds and bring it together. So there is quite a lot of group-based learning rather than whole class teaching. I read writing groups, I will have 5 different groups. So I have those who are reading novels, and I have those who would not be able to read certain words, and they're still working out their sounds from A to Z. So in order to, like, we count them as remedial, we don't really count them as remedial here. That's actually normal. You will have that in every year level. And what the teacher needs to do is to teach to the needs and to be able to meet the different needs. So the need to learn that A has this sound and A has 2 different sounds or 3 different sounds. Some people need to learn that, oh, I know the word able can be changed to ability. And it's a different, or I can add this to make sure it's disability to show that it's the opposite. So we have really different levels, and that's not just English, it's the same for maths and everything. You can have people who are just counting from 1 to 20, and I can have other people who are doing square roots, decimal points. I think all the teachers over here, we take groups, not only ability-based, we take groups based on interest as well, so that they're not, we're not just taking them, okay, you can only read this way, so you're in this group. Sometimes we do ability to look at cars. Now we're all going to do on cars. You can be more advanced and do your own research. You may need some help reading this car book, and I go to. So we're quite we're doing groups. Sometimes it needs to be ability so that we're meeting their needs, but sometimes it's mixed ability so that they're working with other people to then scaffold and help them through their levels. But for all the teachers, we don't consider anybody as remedial or anything like that. We consider them all, you're in my class, you have different needs, and I'll take different groups to meet your needs.
We also will have other adults who we call teacher aides or learning assistants, who will sometimes be in the class to support children if it is very high needs. For example, if there is a child who might have autism, there will be someone who is able to support them with their learning. And we also have people outside, like in the Ministry of Education, who are able to support us as a school to design programs that will help us support our low progress learners.
So we do have quite a lot of outside support, like different organizations coming in, whether it's behavior, whether it's learning, to then keep them up to speed. Like for my lower learners, I usually try to double up the support that they get. So they'll come to me for a group, but my teacher aide would also help them with what I've asked them to. I think we've just lost connection. That's still there. Okay. And so they will help us, like if I've just taught them how to read like cat, C-A-T, you can change that into bed. Then they would go to the teacher aide, who would then double up. Okay, let's read these words together. Let's spell these words together. So we want that doubling of that teaching to go on just to help speed up and accelerate the learning for those who need some support.
Especially you want to see lots of different groups. It can be too hard if you don't have someone there to help.
So I think they're a little bit left in that sense that we have usually more than one teacher or somebody outside to come. Have like parent volunteers who would come in to just read with kids who need help reading and students like that. We have a lot of that going on, and sometimes it's just parent volunteers. Sometimes it's just people in the community who are like, oh, we can come in for a day to help with spelling, help with words, to help with reading books with the students. Yeah, so that's
I have a question. How frequent does these volunteers come to school and help to assist your pupils in the classroom? How frequent
So we would
do they
have
come?
so most of our volunteers come from local churches. So lots of people from the churches, and they will come in. We normally have someone each every day. So most of our volunteers come in every week. For example, we have some low progress children for reading that they will get read to by a volunteer every day. And just be a different volunteer, but they come in every day. And we find that for a lot of retired people from our local churches are very happy to come in and
It is very for our situation in Malaysia. We sadly before this we had COVID, right? And then we had 3 years of lockdown. So during those 3 years of lockdown, students all around Malaysia, they had to do online learning. I'm pretty sure in New Zealand as well, right?
yes.
But here, some students have connections, some students do not have connections. And because of the family backgrounds and everything, right? And it has really affected the students' learning. Some do not even know how to write. Do not even know how to sentences properly. They have trouble in writing. And after the COVID ended, after the lockdown has already ended, the year 1 students that are 7 years old, right? Okay. So 7 years old, year 1 students who did not experience online learning. They came to school regularly, like normal students. They are more proficient. They have no trouble in writing compared to students. And for the remedial students, the teachers would do differentiated activities. So for my case example, I teach year 3 students, and there are students that do not even know sentences. I will give them a differentiated worksheet for them to do. Still having the same objective, but just easier for them. As long as they achieve the objective of the learning, then I'm already satisfied. Getting them to speak English from getting them to use English daily, that will be in the future. But I'm you can understand English. Just they lack in confidence in trying to speak it. I think in New Zealand it is the same as well. I think because during COVID, right? You do it.
Yes, there was a big impact on students' achievement here as well. A lot of, we noticed Esther, Madam Coe's children who missed a lot of school. It is very noticeable as well that there are things that they should know that they don't. and it's very hard to try and catch that lost learning up.
So what we do is we just encourage them where they're at, instead of comparing them to the younger ones, the ones before them, that looking at where they're at, with or without COVID. Students might not be able to reach even just one page. So I would do the same thing like we did for our game. They'll still be writing about the game. I'll give them an experience, but I would help those who need help to write just a sentence. When they are writing it, your objective is just to write down one sentence to tell me what this is. While the other person would be, your objective is to write a paragraph of what this game is. And then your instruction is just a simple instruction. What do I need to do? What do I do first? Next. Well, you now need to describe how do we do that first step? What is needed? How do I do it? What is it? So it's the same objective, like you said. It's just scaffolded in that sense. And you probably do need that doubling effect if you want them to have that accelerated progress with what they have missed. And so what I do try to do is, I'm doing this now try to do it alone with another topic that's same. But use the skills that I've just taught you, see if you could do it by yourself. So I will send them off to do it by themselves. So we make sure that they're doubling. I've taught you this, now try it on yourself. I've taught you this, try it on yourself. And hopefully that will keep them up to speed. It's going to be really hard with 3 years loss, but I think we can just build on what they have. It's going to be really hard to build a castle if they've just put that foundation and you're just putting the first few stones. But we know that as long as we keep building that stones, eventually they'll reach that castle. Maybe it will be a year or two later. But if we keep doing that, they will be learning. It's not that, you've missed that, you're not learning anymore. We do need to catch them up. But I think you probably can't put too much pressure on yourself to cover that 3 years, because it's going to be quite impossible in that sense. But it also doesn't mean that we're not going to do anything to keep them up to speed. Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if it's the same, but we always need more money to be able to employ more people to be able to help more children.
Yeah, I do agree that, yes. And mentor as well, because right here we have kind of like a very hectic periods of subjects to be taught for the pupils. So there and then we really need extra time out of the schooling session to help the pupils with their needs. It seems that time allocated for us, particularly in the classroom, is insufficient itself. So we really need extra hours out of the school session just to help the pupils with their needs. That's what we are trying to do here. Okay, is that all?
So, are there any questions from the other side? From your side? The other side.
Are we done here?
At the moment in Malaysia, with the primary school, your class size?
Class size. Okay, basically here, in one particular class, we have the least that we have a number of pupils is 32 pupils in a class, but it can increase to up to 42 pupils in a class. So that is such a big number of pupils that we have to handle in 1 hour session. So apart from that, marking books, checking their work, and making group work also is kind of like teachers have some kind of difficulties to cater 100% perfectly to all pupils at the same time. So that's the reality that we are facing here in Malaysia right now.
Your children in New Zealand, most of our children in our senior part of the school have access to technology to use at school, like an iPad or a Chromebook. Is that the same in Malaysia or not?
Chromebook, some schools are being supplied by Chromebook, but
Yeah.
it's insufficient for all the pupils to make use of them at one go. So we have to having schedules for classes to make use of the Chromebook at certain time of periods.
Like what has been mentioned before, the students will go from one place to another. So they will move and about, right, inside the compound and use technology such as computer or tabs or anything. They will go to the lab in one video where it is yes, it is where yes, it is a green screen studio.
Ah,
Our students will do recordings there. They will do projects there. Sadly, the teacher who is in charge of that studio is not here. She is Miss Sophia, and she is also an English teacher as well. And the students will use the laptops that were given to schools, and they will do their own research regarding the topics that they have to learn inside the classroom.
But still, we are having insufficient medium of IT and all the technologies that we can supply to the pupils. We are still lacking of those.
yeah. And does your school, do you only have Malay children at your school, or are there children from all different ethnic backgrounds?
Yeah, we do have Indians, we do have Chinese, and we do have a little number of those who are from Sarawak and Sabahan. We also have a small number of them in this particular school, but some schools they solely have Malay pupils. That's no doubt. So some pupils are mixed races, some are not. And we also have completely Chinese school, primary Chinese school, where all the pupils are Chinese, but some Malays do attend that school as well. And we also have Tamil school as well. Okay.
We will often have children arrive in New Zealand who don't speak English, but still come to our school. So they have to learn English at school and then be able to learn as well.
Yes.
Oh, I have a question. I used to study in United States before, where I attended the elementary school there. And then because of how do I say it? Because my father was a diplomat, so the children of diplomats, they have to undergo an exam where the schools will either they will let the child skip a grade or stay in the same grade. So for my case, I skipped the grade. Is there anything similar to New Zealanders?
No.
Come there?
In New Zealand, the year you're in is based on your age only.
I see.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
not on ability, just on age.
Which is why in the classroom you will have people that might be learning things that is in a year one, and you might also have people learning things at the intermediate or the high school level. But because they're all based on how old they are to be in that class, it doesn't matter where you are in that same class. Yeah, so we don't do streaming in that sense.
Streaming is very frowned upon. It's not something that's seen as being a boo in New Zealand now. So it's all based on how old you are.
I have another question. For the international students, if they go to New Zealand, do they have to sit for Maori class? For a local language class?
So, Māori as a language is only spoken by a small number of people, even of Maori people. Or unfortunately, as a result of colonialism, many Maori were not allowed to speak their native language at school. So my grandfather, who was Maori, and I'm part Maori, my grandfather was not allowed to speak Maori when he was at school. If he spoke Maori at school, he would get the cane. Yes. So we have a generation of children who never learned how to speak their own language. And now we're trying to repair that very slowly, but we're trying to repair it and increase the importance of people being able to speak Te Reo Māori and be aware of their own culture.
So what we do is we teach Maori as a language.
Sorry.
Ezrin, go ahead.
Is learning the other language part of the curriculum, national curriculum?
Yeah, but it's not just learning the language, it's learning what we call tikanga. So that's like how we start our day with a karakia or prayer. Before we eat our food, we have a karakia kai. Things like things that are appropriate to do, not appropriate to do around our Māori culture. For example, we don't sit on tables in New Zealand because we consider that tapu, because that's a surface we eat off. So we don't put our bottom on a surface that we eat off, or things like that. So it's about teaching all that as well as the language. So there's more to it than just the language. Sorry, I'm not picking on you at the table.
I'm sitting on the table. But the students don't eat from this table. They read. I will sit on the chair now.
You are fine.
Mr. Justin, can you speak a little Maori so that we can hear a little Maori? How does it sound?
Okay. Right. Give me 1 second. I will share with you my mihi. So my mihi is how I introduce myself.
So most of the time, in a proper function when it's in Maori, we need to introduce ourselves in Te Reo, and there is a certain steps. They usually go by where you come from, so what mountain, what river it is. They also have your family name, so that's the tribe, what tribe it is. Then they'll talk about where you are at the moment, the place that you're living. So yeah. Do you have it?
Right. I'm just sorry. I was one of the people who didn't learn my mihi when I was younger, so I have it on my phone.
All right.
Oh, sorry, I know why. Sorry, I won't be a second. I will just get it up. I had it up before.
Are you writing an essay?
Right. Mihi.
Don't try too hard. It's a simple communication.
So here we go. So nā mihi nui ki a koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko papatu te maunga, ko te arai te awa, ko horota me takatimu te waka. Ko ronga whakata te iwi, ko nā tāwhiri te hapu, o hako te hapu. E tipu ake au e mopo, ko ke eo tatahi toku kāinga anainei. E tumawaki ahau ki te kura tuatahi o Matarangi, ko Justin Perium toku wingua, nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Yeah. I feel like watching bueno.
What I just did was I introduced myself. My mountain. I come from my family come from the North Island, but I was brought up down the very south of South New Zealand, but now live in Christchurch, and I am the principal at Northcote School.
Hi.
That's great.
So like even in my mihi, if I were to share, they usually share how you come to New Zealand. So for me, I would edit something like my mountain would be Ladap because I'm from Mua Johor. So I would go like ko Ladap toku monga, Komua Tokuawa, that's the Mua River. And then I would have something that says No Mareho Aho, that's I'm from Malaysia. So Mareho is what the Maori word for Malaysia in there. And a funny thing that I would usually put in is ko Wakarere Rangi is the airplane. Ko Marehia Wakarere Rangi, Malaysian Airlines, is how I got to New Zealand. So that would be the introduction for it, because that's how I got here. They would usually put the boat that they were in.
So my waka, which is the Māori word for like canoe or boat, is takatini. So in Māori legend, there were a small number of canoes that came from the Pacific Islands carrying our ancestors, and every tribe or iwi comes from a certain canoe. So we can all trace our family history, our whakapapa, back to a canoe that came from the Pacific Islands.
Oh, that's
Which would be very similar to what we would do.
If you listen to Maori, it's quite similar to Bahasa in that sense, because they have the syllables in that sense. So our students just noted today we were doing Batu Lima, and that was like 5. But in Maori, 5 is Rima, is R-I-M-A. So it's just the front part that's a little bit different. Yeah, and so we have some similarities in some words in Maori and in Malay as well.
But how do you write in Maori? Can you show us a one-word particular word in Maori? How do you write it?
So if we write Kiora, which is the hello, it's the same as Malay. We will use the Roman alphabet, so it's K-I-A, Kia, Ora, O-R-A. So it's a lot more similar. Maori is a lot more similar to Malay than it is to English. Yeah, but they do have certain things with a macron on top, which means you need to drag it like double A, R. Yeah.
Special sounds on certain syllable, right?
Yeah, but their basic sounds would almost be the same. So they go a, ha, ka, mana, para, fa. It will be the same like mana. For mana kita nak pergi, it's the same. But their mana means mana instead of what. Mana means like praise the owner. So a lot of words are actually quite similar to Malay, but meaning a different thing, but pronunciation will actually be quite similar. So if any Malays come over who already know how to speak Melayu, they could easily learn Maori, and that's why I find it easier to learn Maori, because I learned Bahasa Melayu back in Malaysia.
So by now you should be already very fluent in Maori, I assume.
Able to speak and sing certain songs, but not a conversation still. It's still quite tricky in that sense. Yeah.
I have one more thing that I would like to request. Mr. Periam, is it okay? No, I would like you to say a word, say a phrase in Malay. This 31st August is going to be our Independence Day.
Yes.
Hari Kemerdekaan. So if you are okay with it, I would like you to repeat after me. So we can.
I'll get Madam Ko to write down. I can say Salama Hari Jadi for birthday.
Almost the same.
I do apologise for my poor pronunciation.
Do you want Selamat Hari Merdeka, or what was it?
Selamat Hari Kemerdekaan.
So you just need one word from Selamat Hari Jadi.
It's going to be
Selamat Hari
Kemerdekaan
kepada
semua pelajar.
Selamat Hari Kemerdekaan. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Please add something else.
First time. Look at this side. Kemerdekaan. How fast do I say it?
Yep.
Okay. Selamat Hari Kemerdekaan.
Putrajaya
Kepada
61.
Selamat Hari Kemerdekaan kepada pelajar
Ooh.
We are going to give
They're
you
trying to
smart
torture
words.
us.
You did not tell me I would be doing this.
Kepada pelajar
PP
SKPP
SKPP
161.
Yeah.
So SKPP 161. This is kepada pelajar. Okay.
So I'm saying the whole lot now.
Yeah, you can do it.
Hey, wipe your flag, Mr. Peria.
It's really good. So yeah.
We rely on you. We are going to
We'll
launch
take this for one
our-
minute.
I'll put it
Yeah.
out there. Yep.
Right, I'll try this time. Okay. Selamat Hari Kemerdekaan kepada pelajar SKPP 161.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you
You
so
are
much.
welcome.
That the students here will appreciate it.
I'm
thank
very
you so
proud
much.
to have a really capable principal.
He's very cute, Indeed. You
Yeah.
are.
I will talk to you anytime.
As part of the school media team, I would like to invite you to like all our social media so that you can see yourself on YouTube, Facebook, and our TikTok.
Kapai, I will wait for Kasrina to send me the links for it, and then I'll share it with my principal and the students after that.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate to have this session today. It's a very fruitful session, and we learn a lot from your side, and we hopefully that you will learn something from our side as well. So we wish that all the best to the New Zealanders, and maybe next time we can have another session with the different topics, inshallah. Okay, thank you so much for being here and attending this session with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for giving up your time.
Terima kasih Puan Zahara. Kami juga menghargai peluang yang diberikan kepada sekolah kami dari New Zealand. Terima kasih ribuan terima kasih kepada SK Putrajaya PP 16 1.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Amazing. Bye.
That is all for the sharing session between SK Putrajaya 1561 and Te Kura or Matarangi Northcote School. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Miss Esther, the English teacher there from that school, and Mr. Justin Periam, the principal of that school, for collaborating with us. To more collaborations in the future,